ho, 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 ho. Merry, Merry, Merry Christmas. Welcome to the Christmas edition of Fanatics Frenzy. And, it's your boy here, Dennis. It's good to have you guys over here. And, of course, got my main man, SK. How are you doing? Merry Christmas, my
man. Good. I'm Scrooge Kunkel.
How was your Christmas, man?
It was good. It was good. The day after is always kind of the worst because, everything is, all the presents are open, all the, some people start taking their lights down or don't turn them on.
True.
I like the people that keep them up till at least the first of the year. It's nice.
Right.
Still be able to see that stuff.
That's the best time to take down Christmas light, after New Year's. So, any exciting presents?
Got some new shoes, which I needed badly. My other ones are coming apart at the sole.
Sweet. Yeah, well, I enjoy Christmas, got some nice gifts, I'm gonna go shopping. I got some gift cards also. So, if you see me in some new, gear, balling out, just know, Christmas was good to me. But today's episode is gonna be very fun, we had a very interesting last weekend, we always talk about fantasy football and all of that, but we finally went against each other. We'll get into that a little bit. And then also, the MVP race for the NFL is like pretty tight. You team Mahomes or team Lamar Jackson or team Josh Allen. You see where you are about that. And then the quarterfinals of the college football playoffs are starting. It's starting the beginning of the year on the 30th or on the 1st. I believe that's when the quarterfinals start. So without wasting much time, let's get into the first one.
All right.
So we've talked about fantasy football for quite a bit of time on this show. And what the people don't know is we are in the same league. Okay, bragging rights. All right, that's the name of our league. Mom loves the league. Loves the fantasy football. She really doesn't. But she's in love with our league because it's great. It's a little banner here and there. And then the last four came down to you and I, and then Trey and Ryan, who are also my cousins. So it was a family affair. A family affair in the the semifinal.
Out of how 14?
14 people.
teams.
Yeah. So even the people in the group, said we colluded to end up being the people that are in the final. But hey, that's neither here nor there. We didn't. But talk to me. So you want to tell the people what happened?
Let's start. Kind of start from the beginning.
Okay.
Let's since we're going to talk about this. I'm proud of my guys.
They showed up. They did it.
I'm proud of my team. Not just for this game. We'll get into the game in a minute. But
right.
I think when I last looked, I had 36 waiver claims this season.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. By the time I finished the season, I want to say in the starting lineup against you in the semifinals, I think there was one player who was actually drafted to my team.
Right.
So, big props. I brought in Jaden Daniels after probably 3 or 4 games.
Okay.
He's carried the quarterback position. I did use Sam Darnold like 1 or 2 times, who had some good games there.
I think that was you used him against me during the regular season because I have Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So what it came down to was I had a pretty strong team.
Right.
When J.K. Dobbins was full strength.
True.
When Kenneth Walker wasn't on IR and always questionable every week. The running back position is what killed me.
Right.
As far as wide receivers, I would put my receiving core against anybody. I had Jamar Chase. I had Devontae Adams, which the last 3-4 weeks has been top in the league.
Right.
And then Jordan Addison was my third, which if you know what he's done over the past 4 weeks, he's been averaging phenomenal. About 20 points. And then probably the biggest pickup that I had was when I picked up Taysom Hill as a tight end.
Right.
We know about the 47-point game, even though we had 3 turnovers.
Right.
But anyway, so, I've been moving guys in and out of the roster. all the way.
Great GM.
Hey, I had to win the last 4 to get in.
True.
Not that my record was so bad, but our league was incredibly
competitive.
Everybody was either. We had at one point 8 teams tied at like 6-2 or something. I mean, it was crazy. So anyway, when I lost Hill, I picked up a couple of tight ends. Didn't really do much. I picked up Okonkwo for the semifinals because he had been doing pretty well for Tennessee.
Yeah,
but the thing I ran into against you was honestly the 2 running backs I put in, Kenneth Walker, and I used Miller for the Saints because I had a couple of the other ones out.
Right.
Well, Gus Edwards on the bench goes for 20.
True.
I can't remember who the other one was. Went for Tracy went for 19. And then I had a third on the bench, which was Spears for Tennessee, who went for 25.
Right.
And then the 2 I had in there went for like 13 and 5, and that ended up being the killer.
Achilles heel.
But if we talk about the matchup, I know you were scared.
Hey!
Because here's the thing that Dennis does. All right, it bothers me to no end.
Oh my God!
When he's up or he's winning, it's all smiles. He's in the living room. He's dancing. He's talking. He's loud. Well, at one point he was down by about 70. And Dennis disappears to his bedroom, and we don't see him again until late in the game. Achan takes one to the house and puts him up by 16, 17 points.
Right.
And it came down to
Miller
and I had Tampa Bay's defense.
Right.
Which against the Cowboys, I thought, hey, if they pick up about 8 points.
Right. You should be
And then
fine.
Miller gets me about 8-9 points, I'm going to be right there. Well, the Saints decided not to play football, and he got out. And they were down 21-0 in the first quarter, I believe, and he got 5 points. And and again, we can talk about the Cowboys another time, but that game plan by McCarthy and the way Rush executed that, my defense had 0. They were just running up and down the field. So
it was great.
Anyways, it was a good game. It came down to the last couple of guys, and unfortunately didn't get it done.
So from my perspective, okay, this is what happened. Great matchup. A lot of smack talking during the week. Even I remember on Sunday after we got back from church, I was like, all right, well, it's on. I did say that to you. Yeah, I said I was confident against whoever, that weekend, right? But, the 12 o'clock game starts, everything was pretty good. I mean, nothing really crazy going on around the 12 o'clock game. And then I think I was still projected to win around that 12 o'clock game. So the 3:25 game started, and then for whatever reason, you kept going and going and going and going, and I remember being down.
You thought you were done. You could say it. You can admit it.
When I went to pick up the groceries from HEB and I got back, okay, I thought I was done.
That's why you were quiet.
I was,
you went straight to your room, crying and pouting.
Okay, no, I was quiet and I did go to my room because I'm losing. I don't have anything to say. I cannot talk if I'm losing. So I thought I'm done. I'm like, man, I took all this smack over this week. There's no way I'm going out like this. I was losing bad. And then A-Chain, has I think maybe 15 or 16 or maybe 18 points. Game is almost fourth quarter. I think 4 minutes left or something like that. They need a first down and then game is over. Well, he gets the ball and busted through, and he didn't need to score, and he scored that. And I remember I was on the phone with a couple of my friends, and we're just talking about how bad I just lost, everything. And then I guess the game was we didn't get a game on TV, so he was going through just reading the stuff about the game, and he goes, A-Chain just scored. And I'm like, no, he didn't, because I go to look, and then I go to look, and it was a 50-yard run. that is what sealed the deal for me. That was beautiful. Like that was really beautiful.
Yeah, that's what won it for you.
100%.
The funny thing is, I went and I was going to tell you something about midway through the 3:00 games, and I went to your door and I heard you on the phone,
right,
talking to your friends,
right,
and you're like, I can't believe I laid an egg. We get to the playoffs, and I've talked all this crap, and I lose.
Oh yeah,
and that's the part that kills me, because again, it's one thing, like, if you're gonna talk, but if you're losing, you still got to be. You can't walk off the field. You know, if you're in a game, you can't walk off the field and hide. You go to your room, right?
I had nothing to say to you.
I talked zero, right? You gotta be humble, right?
I didn't say anything to you.
You did before. That's the thing. You did before, and then we get in a game, and again, we can't. There was a couple of players, I can't remember who, but like my projection at one point was like 164.
Oh yeah,
and I was like, but I still, like, I didn't go in your room and be like, hey, you know.
But I didn't do that to you.
You went and hid in your room because you were losing.
Because there was a time that you were up by at least 40 points. I think you were projected to win by 40 points. Yeah. And I'm like, there's no way. And I think even like I had like Jennings playing, and he didn't do anything. I think Jefferson was also playing, but then
Jefferson actually.
So Jefferson scored those 2 touchdowns. Yep. So that also helped me to close the deal. But it was really HN busting through without drive, and I think he probably scored like 10 or 15 points on that play. That whole drive that got me, that was incredible. And then they brought their projections back to, I think,
pretty close.
So I think it was close at that point. And you needed 18 points going into Monday.
I needed 18 points with Miller. And to be honest with you, the week before, like, obviously Kamara's out.
Right.
Well, he came in that one quarter. He had like 9 carries, like 50 yards. Mm-hmm. I'm like, if they throw him the ball a little bit, Saints are going to move the ball. They got Rattler. They're going to run it. Problem is, Rattler was just throwing the ball to everybody, including the officials. You know what I mean? So that game got away from him. I think it'd have been different if it was a regular Saints game.
Right.
But yeah, it came down to where I had a couple I had the defense and I had Miller, and they just unfortunately stubbed their toe.
One thing I would say is this was not an easy win. I literally went through all the emotions because I have text messages with Trey. Trey at some point just sent me a message saying, "You are effing done." And he was losing, and I'm like, Trey, you mean we are done, not just me? So when I brought it back up, the first thing I texted Trey was, "Don't ever count me out." Oh, that was great. But, I'm in the final now, and it's, I haven't made the best decision so far because I decided to sit Xavier Worthy after he's been going on for 3-4 weeks. But hey, I still got a chance to, to win. So hopefully, I put that out.
Yep. Hopefully, Ryan takes care of that, because I can't listen to it in this house for a year. And here, we talked about this before too. The amount of trash you've talked about, winning and doing all this, and after not making the playoffs last year.
True, I didn't make the playoffs last year, and I'm in the final. I'm in the Super Bowl this year. All I would say is, hey, sounds like I'm a great, GM. Then I'm a great, bounce back. That's what it is, But well, let's go into the real, the people that are actually playing the sports for sure, So right now we got Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen head to head for the MVP race.
So you don't think Saquon's in that conversation?
I just don't think running backs are going to win it just because of the amount of, quarterbacks touches the ball every play. Yeah. So historically, they have almost always given it to quarterbacks, and it's hard to pass it over to a running back. But if there was like mediocre, or not mediocre, like not so spectacular quarterback play this year, especially with Lamar and what Josh Allen, they both done and carried their team, this would have been a time, because maybe 2 weeks ago there was literally like chance for Saquon to get it, and it looked like he could, but the past 2-3 weeks, the two quarterbacks have just taken it to a different level. But who do you got, or do you have a third candidate in there?
Well, I'll say this: Saquon's a third candidate. Okay. I agree. I think it'll be a quarterback. I don't think he'll win. But here's why I say don't count him out yet.
Okay.
Normally, if it's a running back, it's going to have to be somebody that is carrying the team. Okay. And I'm just going to give you an example. Let's say Baltimore, is you have Lamar Jackson who's doing his thing. Henry is playing well. Lamar's carrying the team. He's going to be the candidate.
True.
The Eagles, Hurts is not. No. He's not dominating. He's not in that conversation. So it is on Saquon.
100%.
So again, he's a third. I think he's a distant third.
Okay.
But again, couple of weeks we'll see what he does, see if they end up again, the Washington loss hurt them, see if they can end up climbing back and getting into that one spot.
I think that's gonna be hard because now the one spot is looking like Vikings and what do you call it, Detroit on that last, I believe that's the week 18 game, Viking and Detroit. So,
So again, I'm just I would put him in as a third.
True. Okay.
But again, I do think it's going to be between these two. But as much as what Lamar did, in the game yesterday, and what he's had too many games, I think, where he hasn't been there.
True.
Where Josh Allen has been the ultimate consistent, quarterback through most of the season. Okay. If I look at it and I say, if you look at who has kind of elevated their play, because Josh Allen has kind of been in that conversation before,
right,
and then he's kind of stumbled.
Right. And this year he has trickled down on his interception.
That's the point. The point I'm getting to is he's elevated his play this year beyond what he's done before.
Okay,
and he's, running. He'll score on the ground. He'll obviously throw it. There's been obviously some trick plays and stuff like that. And Lamar will flash against certain teams.
Okay,
where Josh Allen has beaten the good teams, and he's played at that level to beat good teams. So, and that's kind of why I would lean to Josh.
Okay.
But, again, a couple weeks left. We'll see what happens. Again, I don't know this. When do they award the MVP?
Before the Super Bowl.
Okay, so they count the playoffs?
No, it's regular season. Yeah.
So you're not going to get anything from Lamar being able to kind of get past his ghosts of losing. You know what I mean? You're not going to be able to say, "Hey, he beat the." Now, will it play into
maybe
some people's minds? It could.
Voiding.
So I don't count him out by any means. I just think Josh Allen, for me, right now, would be the pick.
So I think the reason people are saying Lamar picked it up today or he sealed this is because George struggled against Texans.
Yep.
And it was a pretty ugly game when he played. So that's kind of what I haven't actually made a decision yet, to be very honest. I think I'm still stuck on last year. I think Dak should have won it last year. We're not talking about Dak, but I'm still stuck on last year. But I think what is going to also hurt Lamar this year is a lot of people felt like Dak should have won it last year, and he won it last year, and it's kind of becoming like, oh, he's won two,
it's people like a deserving versus
right. Yep. We're like, okay, he's won two. Why don't we give it to Josh? So I can also see that playing in huge. But I haven't made. But I think whatever way you go on this, you could not be so wrong.
I think it's going to be it's a coin toss essentially. It's probably one of the closer. There's been some close ones. There was a year I think I remember where it was Brady and Rodgers. And there was a year I want to say it was Manning and Brady.
Okay.
But when I look at if you took that quarterback off the team and you put in a backup,
okay,
which team would still have a chance to win? by style of play and the weapons around him?
Probably Ravens.
The Ravens.
That's a compelling argument.
He benefits from obviously Henry in the backfield.
True.
He's got Mark Andrews, which is the last several weeks has boosted himself back up to where he was.
Yep.
Now the defense isn't as dominant as they have been in the past.
Not what do you call it? They don't also have a good defense. Josh's team?
Yeah, they don't.
The Bills don't have a good defense.
So when I look at it, if let's say you said, "Hey,
you might have sold me.
We want you to get, you're going to run the ball. You're going to do some play action to some tight ends. You may be able to press the ball down the field, and you put in a backup." Who would actually have a chance to win? And I think it would be the Ravens.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Also, when you're talking about most valuable, in my opinion, you take both of them out equally. Which team would still have a chance to win? And I think the Ravens would have a significant better chance than Buffalo.
Yeah, because Buffalo is heavily Josh Allen dependent.
Yep.
He has had to put on a Superman cape almost every game that they play.
And I like James Cook, but
he's not.
If somebody says, "Hey, they got a backup, we're going to stack the box," I think Buffalo would get destroyed in that game. Mm-hmm. If the Ravens had a backup and they still have, Josh has got some tight ends. He doesn't utilize them as much as probably he should. He's got some good receivers. Mm-hmm. So that backup would have a couple of weapons, but if they shut Cook down, all that goes away because he makes a lot of throws where he's kind of off schedule, out of the pocket, and makes some ridiculous throws.
Wow.
I think if you did the same thing to Baltimore, you could feed Henry, you could find the tight ends because it's not just so wide receiver heavy.
Right.
That's the way I would go with it.
You know what? I didn't think about it that way. You probably 100% have sold me on Josh Allen. I'm not gonna lie, cause picking back off what you guys say, if you take them out of their team, Bills hurt more than the Ravens does 100%.
Yep. But then we get into the do the people voting think like that? Do they think value? Do they really think valuable, or do they think who's the best?
Right.
We get into that conversation too with the Heisman Trophy.
Right.
Heisman is not a most valuable player.
Right.
It's who's the best player.
Best player, yes.
So if you said that, I would say Lamar because he does so many dynamic things. But in football, with the MVP,
most valuable player,
you take Josh Allen away.
Yeah,
they're not close.
This is good. I think this is one of the most compelling arguments that I've heard in a minute. You don't know if you'd be able to top this.
You're welcome.
All right. So the last one, or the last thing we're going to get into is, New Year's, we start a quarterfinal of the college football playoffs. Okay. Last week, we saw your Texas Longhorns, and you repping them today, destroy Clemson. Okay. I mean, as they show, Clemson came out aggressive.
If you remember me talking,
that's what you said. You said if they come out and they're not afraid to pass the ball, they're going to be, dangerous.
They'll be in the game.
Yeah, and then they were.
Yep.
Klubnik put them in the back and was making some throws. And hey, I even told you, I was like, hey, you predicted this, and that was exactly what happened. So yes.
Yep.
So that was. I don't think. Well, we were. I think we are 5-5, 5 out of 5. Other than the spread. And if you take out the spread, I think we're 5-5 from who we thought was gonna win. So that's the first time we've nailed it. So I hope if you listen, just send me my cut. I don't want anything crazy. And Mercedes-Benz would be nice. Just saying. But we have the Texas Longhorns playing against the Arizona State Sun Devils.
Yep.
Scatterboo and those boys. And the Texas Longhorns are 13.5 points favorite. We can go. You don't have to. If you want to do spread, cool. But now, if you want to just go straight pick, cool. But I want to hear from you.
I mean, a nearly 2 touchdown spread. That's kind of what with Clemson. Yeah. I thought Clemson would probably. And to be honest with you, they were there on the 1 yard line. If they scored that one touchdown, it's 7 versus 14. So it's that close. I think this game will probably be very similar to that game.
Okay.
And the reason, Clemson their line play, number one, their line play offensively was great. Texas had, I think, 2 sacks. Both of them, I believe, were in the first half. Once they got past that, Klubnik was able to sit back there and just kind of
slide.
So, first quarterback this year to throw for over 300 yards against Texas, and I think it was 335, somewhere in there. So, the quarterback that ASU has is very close. He's a freshman, so I'm not putting him where Klubnik is right now. Yeah. But he can sling it.
He can, but I think they're missing some. I thought they were missing some offense, some receivers.
They are. So I think this game will be a little bit different in that Texas in this game, they really didn't commit to stopping the run. Clemson just didn't run the ball.
Right.
Their quarterback was, or the running back was hurt.
Right.
They just didn't force the issue, so that's all they had. I think this game, Texas knows about Scadaboo and what he's able to do. I think they commit to stopping the run.
Yeah.
I do think that opens up some things in the pass game. I just think this guy's not as experienced as Klubnik to make those kinds of plays.
True.
But I do think they're going to be able to throw the ball a little bit.
Okay.
I think Clemson exposed a little bit of Texas secondary. Yes, they're good. They have a couple of guys. Jahdae Barron's going to be in the NFL. Makuba probably going to be in the NFL.
Didn't one of the guys win the best defensive?
Yeah. Barron did.
Barron did, okay.
But if you're not afraid and you can give your guy a little bit of time, you can find open receivers. So I think they're going to score some points. I think it's going to be very similar, right on the verge of that. 2 touchdown. The only difference I'll say, I think, in this game is that instead of Texas being up by 2 scores, where they score it's 7 versus they don't, it's 14. I think this game it's going to be more like Texas may be up 20.
Okay.
And then Arizona State can cut it late to either 14 or 13, which obviously
will be in there.
Is going to be right. I think that's where Vegas sees it too. The thing about Texas, to be honest with you, is everybody talks about Quinn Ewers. The thing that he gets help with the most is the run game. You look at the games that they lost against Georgia; they averaged 30 yards rushing per game. All the other games where it's been tough, defensive games where they're supposed to get beat, especially the A&M game. Running for 200 and 300 yards, play good defense, you're going to win a lot of games like that. So I think this is probably what they'll do. I think they're going to be able to run the ball well. I don't think they'll run it as well as they did against Clemson. Only because Arizona State saw that. They're going to commit to the run. So a little bit more is going to be put on Ewers to make some plays. And I think
he's going to be up for it.
I think he's going to be up for it. I think the big thing is we'll see if Bond is going to be that really hurts him.
Right. I mean, if you're missing your number one receiver,
and
of course.
Even when he was in the games the last couple, he was not right. So I think Texas probably wins this game. And I do think they cover. I think they're going to be up by, again, it's going to be in that 20-21. And I think Arizona State, it's going to be very close to if they score one late. I'm just going to pick Texas to cover.
Yeah, I mean, unprecedented. I picked Texas to win this game. I don't think Arizona State is going to can put that much points on, can just go ahead toe-to-toe against Texas. Yeah. So Texas definitely wins this game. I'm going to stay away from the spread this time, but straight up, Longhorns, I mean, Arizona State has not played that kind of competition in the Big 12 as, they will play against Texas. So
the line play will be the difference.
Yeah.
In the SEC, Texas did a great job the last couple of years developing depth. And that's the thing that I think gets a little bit lost in the playoffs. It's not just about your first 11, because a lot of the team's first 11 can compete.
Right, you're good.
It's what happens if a guy gets winded, if he gets banged up for a second. Texas has proven even last game, the game before where Banks went down. Last game they had 2 linemen go down. They still ran for almost 300 yards. They have that depth, and they do on the defensive side too. Arizona State does not. Does not mean their first 11 can't compete, but once you're rolling guys in there, you get fatigued fourth quarter, late in the third. That's when teams start to kind of separate.
Okay. Well, the next game we're going to go to will be Ohio State Buckeyes against Oregon Ducks. A replay of what happened, earlier this season when Ohio State kind of botched that last play. They were down. They couldn't slide to all of that. But Ohio State did beat Tennessee convincingly, okay? Convincing. We're not going to get into all the, how, after the first Notre Dame and Indiana game, everybody was like, even the Ole Miss coach was out there talking about
how bad the games were. Yeah,
and Tennessee was the team, the SEC team, and they were the ones that got beat the worst in the first round. So we're not going to get into all of that because that's a little too much. But Ohio State and the Oregon Ducks.
Here's the deal. Ohio State, they're playing inspired.
Okay.
And they hear the noise about their coach.
True.
They took the loss at Michigan.
True.
And it's all about how you respond. Everything in athletics is what happens if you lose. If it's a team you should beat, you lose. If you get punched in the mouth by a better team, you lose. What happens the weeks after? And Ohio State just went in and smashed Tennessee, no question. Again, first round games are supposed to be that way. NFL's the same way.
Right. Home field advantage, all of that. Yep.
So those games went the way they went, and I really liked Ohio State, and a lot of people did because the betting line for them to win a national championship moved actually up over Oregon now. Oregon was a team that went backwards. So they're playing inspired football. They're going to be a sexy pick. Everybody's going to be like, hey, after that first game, dominating Tennessee, they're going to win the national title.
And they are 2.5 points favorite.
Yep. And it opened at 1.5 to Oregon. Monies went to Ohio State. That's always dangerous because Vegas does not lose money. So people are going to be betting them. They looked great. Here's the thing that I'll always caution is that you can never predict a team's future and how they're going to do by one game.
Okay.
It's got to be about consistency. And that's what the playoffs are, not a one game like it used to be. It's not a one game national championship. You got 4 of them. Yes, they looked great. Can they put it together for 4 games versus just one?
When everybody was talking, when it was loud. Yep.
I think because of all the noise that's around Ryan Day and how inspired those guys are playing, I think they can put a few games together. I think it's probably going to be Ohio State versus Texas, and I'm going to take Ohio State. I'm going to say they're going to win by 3, so they're going to get past the spread. Still think it's going to be a game just like the first one, but I think they're playing inspired enough football to end up beating Oregon. Again, Oregon's kind of a machine, but again, it's very rare for a team to go undefeated in anything especially when you have a 4-game playoff, when you have a team who won the conference championship. There just comes a time when they don't play as well and they lose. So
my pick is Ohio State. We pick on Ryan Day and all of that in here, but my pick is Ohio State, and this is why. The Oregon Ducks have been off for a while. Okay? That can get into play. They've been off for a little bit.
Yep.
I don't think they've played in a month by the time they play the game, which can be troubling. Okay? Where's your headspace and all of that? And then when they beat Ohio State, it was not like a dominant performance. No, it came down to the last second. A few, here and there, you slide, you don't slide on time. Time expired. Game is over. Okay. I also think the only thing I'm worried about is Will Howard for Ohio State about his turnover issues. If they can correct that and have him play, where it's clean enough and doesn't shoot himself in the foot, a lot of times I have Ohio State winning this game. Probably maybe 2 points, maybe down to a field goal, tie game, like I think the first game was around that 2.5, 3 points. So I think Ohio State is going to win. But like I said, I'm staying away from the spread this week at all. But I have Ohio State winning against Oregon Ducks. I feel like it's hard to beat a team twice. And then you can make the argument, well, Georgia did against Texas, but it's not the same. Those two games were not the same. Those two games, that first game, Texas just gave Georgia short field. And in the second game
was better. They played better. The way they needed to. And to be honest with you,
and then they had the factor of the backup quarterback coming in, nothing to play free and all of that. So all that included, I think Ohio State beats Oregon in this game.
The last thing I'll say about this and really all other games is what I look at on a team, especially in the playoffs, is who do I think has the better defense and who do I think has the better quarterback play. And I'm always going to take defense. Okay. So I think Oregon has the better quarterback play, but I think Ohio State can get the stops when they need to.
Yep, 100%. Penn State against Boise State. I think this is one of those games where it's pretty, straightforward to me. Again, Penn State at 10.5 points favorite. Okay, we already said James Franklin beats the teams that he's supposed to beat. And I think he's heard about it for a lot of times. You can't, I think, this is his time to at least make it to the semifinal. Ashton Jeanty is going to be good, but I don't think he's faced a defensive line as Penn State. And I have Penn State winning this game. Again, I'm not picking the spread, all of that, but Penn State straight up winners in this game. Jeanty is probably going to have a good game, but I think they stop him a lot of times. What about you?
I think that the money and everybody's going to take Penn State with, taking them to cover.
Right.
Because of what happened in the first round.
Right.
And I think that's a trap.
Right.
The thing about Boise State is, yes, they can run the football, but you know what Penn State's going to do. They're going to stack the box, and they're going to say, Genty's not going to beat us. We're going to make your quarterback beat you.
Right.
I think there will be some things in the passing game that they will be able to take, advantage of. You probably don't remember this game, but the Fiesta Bowl with Oklahoma and Boise State.
No.
Don't remember what year it was, but they played same situation. Everybody thought Boise State was going to get blown out. They make a hook and ladder play to send it into overtime or whatever, go for two, and then they get it. They beat Oklahoma.
It's also Oklahoma.
Yeah. I don't think that Boise State has enough to beat Penn State.
Right.
What is it, 10.5?
10.5.
Yeah, I think it's 10.
Okay.
I think, and again, I don't think it's that close. I think this game is probably well in hand, and I think Boise State probably scores one late. In my opinion, it's probably going to be a 17-point lead.
Okay.
They may be up as much as 24.
Okay.
And I think Boise State gets a score or two late to cut it to 10. So it's really not going to be in question, in my opinion. But I think, again, you got to be really careful whenever you see those first round games and then Vegas goes and puts a 10, same thing with the Texas Clemson game. They put a big spread out there and you're like, oh, look what they did last week.
Yep.
It's about consistency, and can you do it every single week? Penn State was at home last week. They're not going to be at home this week.
Nope. Neutral field.
Yep. That's going to take some sting out of the crowd a little bit. It'll still travel well. It'll still be a pro Penn State crowd. But I think that, again, there's a late score that gets this game to 10 points versus 10.5.
Right. And last point, I don't think Boise State has played any opponent as Penn State. So, yeah. Well, this game is very interesting. Notre Dame and Georgia. Georgia are 2.5 points favorite, which I'm surprised. Well, I know their quarterback, Carson Beck, isn't playing, but I was thinking it would be bigger than that. I thought Georgia would be more, favorite more than just 2.5 points. But who do you got? Because I think this is where I think we've been on the same line up to now. I think this is where we're going to differ a little bit. Who you got in Georgia?
Notre
Dame. You just can't.
It's a very hard one because there's two caveats to that. Yes, Notre Dame looked good against Indiana. The game was not as close as a 10-point game. It was a blowout. And then you have Georgia. Oh, they got a backup quarterback. He's a 5-star kid. So they're not getting the scrub in there. And then here's why I think the spread favors Georgia right now is because of the second half of the SEC championship
game.
You got to consider, kid gets thrown in there, does not have to think, can make some plays with it. Georgia was a better team with the backup than Beck. If Beck finishes that game, Texas wins that game. They needed something. They needed a change of pace, and that kid gave it to him. He had a bad pick towards the end, let kind of Texas have a chance, but I think that what everybody is looking at is that second half. They looked good, so they're going to say, okay, that's the Georgia we're going to see. And if that's the Georgia we see, they should beat Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame wins this game.
Wow.
Yeah, I think Notre Dame.
Wow.
They can run the football.
Wow.
They've got really good line play at both defense and offense.
Wow.
Yeah, I think this one gets Kirby.
I did not think you were going to pick Notre Dame, because guess who I have? I have Notre Dame winning this game because,
because you're Marcus Freeman.
You know what? That is why I am. I am Marcus Freeman.
Let me tell you what.
I don't have any analysis. I just want Marcus Freeman.
You just want him to win.
Want him to win.
Here's what I will say about there's two quarterbacks in the playoffs still left that you can talk about Quinn Ewers and kind of an up and down.
Right.
But if I am going to pick a quarterback, I'm going to take Quinn Ewers over Howard and over Leonard.
Right.
All day.
Right.
Okay? And I'm gonna roll with it. If they get beat, they get beat.
Right.
Whatever team it is. Those two quarterbacks scare me more than anybody, not because of the great play, but Howard's from Kansas State.
Okay.
Never been in a playoff.
Nope.
Never, again, this is a new playoff system, but experience means something. Leonard from Duke.
Right.
Never been in a playoff.
Yep.
Okay. Did they look good? The first, they didn't have to do anything.
Right.
They didn't have to do anything.
Right.
I mean, and yes, Howard has his weapons, and Notre Dame runs the ball well, and Leonard does a lot on the ground. So I think these games are going to be, can you beat us with your quarterback? I think Howard, from what I see in the passing game, that's why I picked Ohio State. Leonard scares me. I'm still going to take Notre Dame because I think they're underappreciated defensively and on the offensive line. I don't think Georgia's going to run up and down the field. I think that kid's going to – he's had all this preparation, now all the noise, now all the hype. Now you're the guy. You beat Texas in the second half. Now it's you.
And then there's a difference.
There's a difference.
Between being a backup and coming in and
the backup quarterback position is the best position in football.
When you don't have to start.
That's what I mean. The backup is the best position in football. Arch Manning is living in the shadow. Quinn Ewers gets all the trash talk.
Yep.
From a quarterback who brought Texas from the 6-7 trash to back-to-back playoffs, Big 12 champion, SEC champion, championship game, and everybody wants to run him out of town.
I feel you.
And again, I think that backup quarterback position is great when you only, and same thing with Arch. He's only come in at certain times.
Yeah.
He had to start 2 games against really bad teams. This is where it's going to have to happen for their quarterback, and I think Notre Dame gets him.
That goes for all the people that are saying, "Oh, look at Cooper Rush. Let's put Cooper Rush in here. Let's take that out of town. All of that stuff. Yeah.
Hold on. I want to talk about that for a second. That game plan that Mike McCarthy had for Cooper Rush against Tampa Bay. Say whatever you want about Mike McCarthy as a Dallas Cowboy.
He's coming back. 100%.
Well, no.
Oh.
I'm just saying, if he doesn't come back, somebody will pick his ass up in a heartbeat over the last 5 weeks. And that game, having him, The game plan was outstanding. Getting the ball out of his hands in less than 2.5 seconds. I mean, everything. He's going to have a job. If it's not with the Cowboys, obviously there's going to be some...
You know what I heard? The Bears.
Well...
well, hear me out. Offensive coach. Okay, because that's what they need. They need Caleb to have an offensive coach. I know that Mike Vrabel has come up a lot, but Mike Vrabel is a defensive coach. So offensive coach, he has won before. He has a history of developing quarterbacks. Rodgers, I mean, you know, you can argue Rodgers' and Caleb Williams' you know, what do you call it? What's the word I'm looking for? Like what their prospect is or whatever. But he was there in those Rodgers years. So what I've heard, it might look good. I don't think it will be the worst thing ever.
I think he comes back. Pete Carroll has said he's
interested. Yeah,
we'll see. We'll see. But again, everybody was talking crap after that 3-game stretch where they were just really, really bad after Dak, and all of a sudden
it looks good.
McCarthy's actually coached some football lately.
Listen, I said like a few weeks ago is if he can plan the same thing for Dak when Dak comes back. I don't know about the quick passes, but if he can plan where he commits to running the ball 15 to 16, 17 times a game, limit Dak to throw it maybe 30 times a game, that's going to be great.
Yep.
Because, then CD can have 7, 8 targets, okay? Dump some balls over to your running backs to run it, rush the ball. I mean...
Yep. I agree.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Well...
I've got one thing to say. I've got like a little 2-minute spiel, if I can do that.
Of course. You have the floor.
I'm going to speak to Longhorn fans for a second.
All right.
All right. Longhorn fans, shut up about the quarterback. 2 things you don't know, okay? First thing is you don't know football. All right. You all sit at home. You're on your couch. You're typing on Facebook, and you want Quinn Ewers gone, okay? A quarterback who wanted to come to Texas, is a Texas boy who has pride for the school, not a transplant from another state, who wanted to bring Texas back to a national championship. Okay? He's been to back-to-back playoffs, won the Big 12 last year. Yes, he lost in the SEC championship game. Okay? The guy plays well. I bet most of you do not realize that the 77-yard touchdown run that Jaden Blue had was an audible by the quarterback. Okay? Quarterback play is not just about can you sling it all over the field. It's about managing the offense. Okay? Does Arch Manning audible? Probably not. Okay? So, all of you that are sitting at home and bashing the quarterback who have never played a down of football in high school and junior high and for Texas, be happy that your team is in back-to-back playoffs and not 6-7 like, 5 years ago? All right? Arch's time will come. It'll be next season. Quinn will be in the NFL. And for all of you saying he'll only be a second or third rounder or he'll be a backup, Colt McCoy, who's one of the most legendary quarterbacks in Texas history, was a backup. He made a ton of money. He did just fine for himself. And Quinn Ewers is about to surpass Colt McCoy as one of the best quarterbacks. He'll be just behind Vince Young. And his legacy will be probably statued somewhere in the stadium. So shut up and let them play.
What a freaking speech. Hey, we cannot top this.
I get tired about the fan base.
We can't top this. We cannot top this. What a speech. What a speech. And this I know is coming from your heart.
Oh, 100%.
From your heart to the Texas Longhorns fan. I don't know. Listen.
And we're going to win, okay, this weekend or whatever. I don't know what day of the game. It's next week. Yeah. So we'll win. We'll beat Arizona State. And then we're going to have to listen to everybody say, oh, he didn't throw 3 touchdowns. Oh, he didn't throw for over 300 yards. Oh, he got sacked. Okay. Jesus, if you know about quarterback play and the protections that he moves into and the audibles that he makes, there's a hell of a lot more to quarterback than if you can run around inside the pocket or outside the pocket and if you can make the throws. Number one, he can make all the throws, but he makes very, very good decisions. 2 of the touchdown runs were audibles by the quarterback. All right.
Guys, we're done. I don't have nothing to add to that. I can never top what this was. Like, what just happened. What a speech.
Thank you.
What a speech. Guys, we're done. You know what to do. Just follow. Send this speech over to some Longhorn fans that are being a little unappreciative of what is going on. Okay? I'm not the biggest Longhorn fan, but how about them Longhorns? Let's go, baby!